And that's the thing with my near-death experience research, it taught me to see things from the wider perspective as well, because I suppose before my research I was always about me, and I was, you know, quite selfish. But when you learn from these people who've had a near-death experience, it becomes about everyone and how we're all interconnected, and what we do to others, ultimately we're doing to ourselves. And so why is our society so narrow-minded, you know? It's time to wake up.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Welcome to the gang.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It is. It's not about material stuff.
That's right. Yeah. It's not.
I was listening to your thing last night, and most people come back and say that, don't they?
Yeah.
I've been chasing money all my life, or I've been all accumulating all this wealth.
That's
right.
It's
about love, isn't it?
It is, exactly. It all comes down to love.
That's all it's about, isn't it?
Yes.
Being kind to the fellow human beings, isn't it?
Absolutely, mate.
That's it, yeah. The co-author of my last book, The Transformative Power of Near-Death Experiences, Kelly Walsh. Now, she had a near-death experience, and she felt that love so deeply that transformed her life completely, you know. Prior to her near-death experience, she tried to end her life because she was so thoroughly depressed and anxious. She'd had it all of her life, and it got to the stage where she couldn't bear it anymore. And then as soon as she was in that love, it changed everything for her. And now she's called herself Positivity Princess. She's designed this cartoon character to teach children about positivity and about being kind to each other and loving to each other. You know, and I can't think of any pharmaceutical drug that could be so powerful, you know, and there she is having this near-death experience, changes her life in such a powerful way.
We are all reflections of divinity, and we are born to shine like the stars that we all are. When we open our hearts, minds and souls to the transformative power of divine love, we can heal ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally and spiritually, and live a life beyond our wildest dreams. My name's Kelly Michelle Walsh, otherwise known as Positivity Princess Kelly. Once upon a time, my life was very different. I grew up with deep-rooted emotional issues that affected my ability to truly love and accept myself. Outwardly, I appeared happy with a big smile on my face, but inwardly I was dying with insecurity and a deep, unfulfilled need to be loved and accepted. At the age of 16, I suffered from an eating disorder and then dabbled in recreational drugs. In my early 20s, I suffered from severe fight-or-flight anxiety coupled with depression. At times, the pain got so much that I would lie in bed, shut my eyes and wish that I would never wake up. At the age of 33, life got too much and I lost hope, and I decided to take a huge overdose, in excess of 20,000 milligrams of paracetamol, and end my life. In hospital, I had a profound near-death experience. I travelled through 7 dimensions, experienced the oneness of the universe and the power of divine love, and was told it wasn't my time. I still had important work and a mission to carry out. The message I was given is that love will heal and transform the world. A week later, I walked out of hospital fully healed, a miracle in itself. My body had been healed by the power of divine love, but I still had a long way to heal emotionally and spiritually. In the years since my near-death experience, I have been on a profound healing journey back to the love that I experience in spirit. Through my darkness, I have found my light, and this has become my divine power. Prior to this, I was on a course of self-destruction because I held a core belief that I was not worthy enough. My decisions were based ultimately in fear. Fear of not being good enough, fear of not being successful enough, fear of not being lovable enough. The list could go on and on. Today, I am an author, speaker, Step Into Your Divinity coach and mentor, and founder of the Positivity Power Movement and Love Care Share Charitable Foundation, aimed at making a positive difference in children's lives all around the world. Through my coaching and mentoring sessions, I can help you heal and release self-sabotaging patterns and beliefs, align with your soul's calling, recognise your divine gifts, and step wholeheartedly into your divinity. If you have lost your way, as I did, let me hold your hand and take you on a beautiful, amazing journey. Your unique, authentic self is a divine blessing, and it is time for you to shine. You are perfect imperfection in divinity's eyes, a perfect work in perfect progress. It's time to put on your crown, step out and live the life that you've always wanted. I'm excited for you and look forward to getting to know you.
And I think if we studied these more and understood them in a greater depth, they could benefit
Or
so
taught
many
this
people.
from
Yeah,
taught this in
taught it,
school
yeah,
from early,
absolutely, yeah.
instead of that narrow-minded idea of just becoming drawn
Yeah.
to work.
That's right.
But
Yes.
I think when we talk a lot about this sort of stuff.
Mhm.
All this has been lost
Yeah.
in time, hasn't it?
Yes.
Before they had the Wi-Fi and the TVs and everything to confuse you,
That's
and
it.
capitalism.
Yeah.
People lived this way. They were in tune with everything,
Yes.
with each other.
Yeah. That's
know.
right. Yeah.
But it's been lost. It's been trained out of us. It's been
Yeah.
because they don't want. Like I say, how empowered we are. We'd be superhuman, wouldn't we?
Yeah. Exactly. That's right.
You know, you just
Yeah.
said that the guy, whatever happened to him, it was
Yeah.
healed.
Yeah.
So much you can do that on any organ or
Yeah.
any part of your body.
I know, it'd be incredible. I know. I read somewhere, I think it was Dr. Larry Dossey's book, One Mind,
Right.
and I think in that he was talking about, indigenous tribes. So they used to live miles apart, and, you'd get the smoke signals, and that was a signal, not that the smoke was giving them particular signals, but it was a signal for them to get into a meditative state so they could communicate with each other.
Right.
I just think, wow, that's amazing, isn't it? That's their Wi-Fi in those days.
Because we're so far removed from that,
Yeah,
aren't we?
yeah, that's it.
It's like you say, it's lost in it. It's,
I know, yeah.
with your friend Kelly,
Mhm.
and it changed her life.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, it does.
But then maybe be talking about 2% of the population who actually think the way that we all think.
Yes, yeah.
When it should be the 98%, shouldn't it?
It should, absolutely. But I think
What
it's
this world would
changing.
be. It is changing. It's definitely a sea
Yeah.
change, isn't it? People
Yeah.
are
Definitely, because I think I notice a big difference since starting my research, how attitudes are more open-minded now, much more out there on the internet as well, and I just think, in a few years' time it's going to change even more, We're living in very exciting times, and I think the whole world is starting to wake up now.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think we can realise we can govern ourselves, can't we? We can think for ourselves, and we know
Yes.
what's right, we know what's wrong.
Yeah.
And do you find you're drawn to like-minded people to yourself? You're like a magnet to them now.
Yeah.
Positive
yeah,
people.
definitely. Yes.
It's about cutting out the negative in your life,
Yeah,
isn't it?
that's right. And it's just that,
Sort of
you
draining
you
you.
bump into different people and then you just kind of meet up with them and become
Yeah.
more friendly with them, and then you meet more with them than the other people you used to meet with. So yeah.
It's like you're raising your vibration and you leave them people behind.
Yes, yeah,
Although
that's it.
they serve the purpose and you serve the purpose for them in their life.
Yeah, that's it.
You're onto something that not everybody can understand, can they? Or wants to
No,
understand.
gosh, no, my family don't understand it at all, My parents, they think I'm gone mad. They just don't get it.
Is that frustrating for you?
It is,
Or
yeah.
are you over it now? Are you?
Oh yeah, just ignore it now, but yeah.
Because you always want your approval, don't you, from your parents, I suppose?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
Can I ask about reviews side of things? When people have reviews, is there any differences in that at all?
With the life review?
Life review, yeah.
It is sometimes very similar to what you described as well, feeling the emotions of other people. Now that I find fascinating, because what some people have described, if they've been unpleasant to someone, or if they've been violent to someone and punched them or something like that, they feel like what it's like to be on the receiving end. So they swap places with that person and they can feel like what it's like to get it back. And it gives them a different understanding of that situation totally then. And then when they come back to life, it guides them in a very moral way as well. And so they realise that literally what we do to others, we're literally doing to ourselves as well. And I find that aspect really fascinating.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And any differences though? Is there any? Because obviously I see it from my experiences as I could be here, there, and everywhere, Is it certain people have certain different aspects of it, or?
Yeah, now some people describe it as like a panoramic. Let me put that down there.
Mm-hmm.
Some people describe it as like a panoramic. So remember in the 80s they used to have those 360 cinemas.
Oh yeah.
So you'd lie on your back and it would be all around you. It's
Yeah.
a little bit like that. I don't know if yours was like that, Paul.
Similar.
Yeah, so that's what they say. It's everything's going on at once.
Mm-hmm.
And although it's all going on around them, they're just totally understanding it all at once as well.
Absorb it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a completely different way of understanding. So it's not it's not chronological in time. Sometimes it can be, but more or less it's around them all the time going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about previous lives as well? Has anyone? Because obviously I saw a previous life. Anybody else that you might have come
No,
across?
I can't think of anyone. No one in my hospital research described a previous life.
Okay.
But I have read about cases. But it's interesting talking to you. You're the first person I've spoken to who's mentioned a previous life as well as the near-death experience, and that really fascinates me because I'm very interested in the work of Dr. Roger Woolger as well, and all of that work that he did. It was fascinating because what he was finding is when people went back to their previous life in the work that he did, they often resolved issues that were going on for them in this life as well. So it's a really interesting therapeutic tool to use as well. So that's what interested me. And another thing that interested me with yours was that flash forward into the future as well. Because I've heard of that.
You've heard of that as well?
Yes,
okay,
yeah.
So it does okay, well, not imagining it, that's good.
No. There was one case, there was one man, he remembered seeing himself lying on a sofa, and above the sofa in the corner of the room there was like this big box on the wall, and he didn't know what it was, didn't have a clue, he'd never seen it before. And then, I don't know how many years, 30 odd years in the future, he realised what that box was. It was some sort of boiler that he'd had installed, and then realised what it was.
Wow.
So, and it hadn't been invented at the time of his experience.
And same with me, actually, at 14, I saw this phone thing. I saw that.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, I saw technology. And I'm thinking like, what was I doing that in a car?
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw myself doing that in a car.
Wow.
Sitting in a car.
You did that earlier.
I was yeah.
Not while you were driving though.
No, I was driving. No.
But they say, don't they, in quantum physics, quantum science, that time is a construct for us. But everything's happening right now, isn't it? The past,
Yes.
the present, the future.
Yeah.
Which makes so much sense when if you think about trying to make sense of this.
That's right. It does.
How you're seeing everything, because everything's been played out right now. You know,
Yeah.
it's mind bending.
It is.
Oh,
isn't
it
It's
really
crazy.
is.
Even when you say it,
yes.
and you think,
Yeah.
are you confusing yourself? But there's so much of it.
Yeah.
But the non-believers need the physical thing, don't they?
Yeah, that's it.
Unless you've ever experienced something, or whatever it is, or you spoke to somebody that you trust and believe, and you know that they're telling you the truth.
Yeah.
That's the leap. You've got to make a leap of faith, haven't you?
That's right. Well, if you think about it, people have been conditioned all their life to believe a certain thing, haven't they?
Yeah.
And some people don't tend to think outside the box or
No.
think anything different. You know, they're quite happy to accept it. And I think when something does happen to you, that's when you start to question it. You know, I think for me, years and years ago, I started to question about death when my grandfather was diagnosed with a brain tumour. This was back in the early 90s as well, and living through him as he was dying made me start to be curious about death as well. But I would never have thought about it had I not been in that situation with him. So perhaps that was a precursor to my research as well, you know, give me that initial curiosity about death.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think anything's by chance, is it?
Oh no, not at
no.
all.
It's your path it's laid out, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, and the other sort of
Just a
thing.
little nudge for you, that was, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. But another thing with these experiences is the kind of people you meet as well, and the kind of experiences that they had. There was one lady in particular who I find absolutely fascinating, and her name is Raja Benamor, and I met her in Marseille. I was speaking at a conference there, and she was also speaking at the conference. And she is from Morocco, and she described this experience where she shrunk down to a very tiny quantum atom where she travelled around the inside of her body. She had a life review to the time of her birth, but it then extended beyond that to the time of the birth of the universe. And her near-death experience motivated her to go and study quantum physics as well. And she acquired this in-depth understanding of quantum physics. It was incredible, you know. They'd interviewed her university professor. She works in retail, or she had her own business in retail, and she enrolled on this course in the university, and they'd interviewed her professor, and he said, you know, this is really, I can't understand how she has such deep-seated knowledge, because it's not the sort of thing you can acquire through reading lots of books or doing a course, or you know, a booster course. What she has acquired is deep-seated knowledge. And he said, you know, some of the things that she'd been writing about in her papers for him, her assignments, were beyond his understanding, and some of the things have then later been verified by publications in physics journals as well. So, you know, how do you get that, you know? It's just mind-boggling, you know. But so many people are just content to say, oh yeah, well that's not all, well it's just coincidence.
Just brush it off.
Yeah.
We can't deal with that, so we're not going
That's
to
it.
acknowledge it.
Yeah, why aren't people curious? It makes me, I don't know.
Too busy
It only
looking at
enlightens,
structure.
it only enriches your life, doesn't
It
it?
does, yeah, that's it.
If everybody had a fear, just lost the fear of dying.
And paying bills.
Yeah,
Forget
Death.
yes, yeah,
If it's,
that's it.
ah,
I know.
yeah. So your thoughts on death now?
Well, it's funny because when I started doing my research, everyone said to me, oh, what are you studying death for, Penny? That's really morbid. But it's not. I've never been happier since studying death, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Because when you start to learn about death, that's when you really start to learn about life.
Yes.
And you know, all these people have got such wisdom to share with us. And if we could learn from these people, we can learn from all of these people without having to nearly die ourselves. We can take heed of what they're saying and put it into practice in our own lives. Everyone would be far happier, you know. Because you look at around us now, how many people are suffering with depression and anxiety? You know, it's a sign of the times, because people are depressed because they're working most of their life, aren't they? You know, in jobs that are unfulfilling, that they don't want to be doing. They've got to do them to pay the bills, you know. And I just think if they listen to people who've had these experiences, have that work-life balance, isn't it? You know,
Absolutely.
Don't be slaves.
That's it, isn't it? That's the thing.
This is what we're on
I'm
about
trying
before,
to tell Johnny all the time. You don't forget the mortgage and the 9 to 5, and find a
forget
job to go do pottery, whatever.
Yeah,
You've got
that's
this one
right.
thing that you're in.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
you don't have a regret at the end of it.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
Nice.
This is Johnny behind the camera.
Yeah.
Spells through.
Yeah. My thoughts about also about nature as well, because I saw in my near-death experience, I saw like trees and how they was like I can describe it. It was almost like a hologram.
Right.
I saw it as like it was the energy going in, energy coming out, and how with what trees were given us. Does anybody else come about seeing like a holographic world? Because I see it like almost like a holographic world since then.
Right.
I know it's a bit weird to say, but that's what I kind of like see it as, a holographic world a little bit.
Now, I've not spoken to anyone who's had a holographic experience, but some people see auras in nature, so they sense the energy around the trees.
Yeah,
and,
maybe more like that. Yeah.
And so they see almost like this energy field around them, if you like, and they can sense that in nature, and they can see it around animals as well sometimes as well.
Yes. Yeah. I had like a training of where what animals are there for, what cats and dogs are, and you know, like dogs told, you know, programmed to like protect their owners. Cats different, you know, just to give love. You know, just things like that. There's just a difference of that's what I felt as well. Yeah.
And how about do you get any like a healing ability from it as well? Some people feel that they can become healers after. Right?
I've been told I've got certain gifts. I can by touch. I feel like people feel something.
Right.
Yeah. But I've never gone into it. I never gone into like Reiki yet, but
Right.
it's a possibility of.
Yeah,
I would like to eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
But my uncle was also a spiritual healer,
All right.
and he could basically try to help me once, and his hands were here,
Yeah.
and my skin became red raw.
Wow.
Not you know, like suntan red.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt his energy,
Gosh. Wow.
which is amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it?
Mhm.
There's so much that we don't know and understand, and
Mhm.
I'm just fascinated trying to learn more. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, in regards to once people have had near-death experiences, how does it change them for their futures? Do you think it's do you think that they've been chosen to come? Do you think they've been chosen to have that near-death experience? They've been actually chosen to. You're coming out of life for one moment
Yeah.
to have this come to them, and then now you're back in the back on Earth again. Do you think they've been chosen, or do you think it's if you understand my question?
I don't know. Possibly.
Mhm.
Possibly. A lot of people I know, when they come back, they feel like they have a mission,
Right.
and very often they don't know what that mission is, so they can spend the rest of their life looking for that mission. But maybe their mission is just to share their experience, because all that is doing is raising the vibration and sharing the knowledge, really, and making more people aware of it. So.
But when we talked about this on the way here,
Yeah.
and we were in agreement, it was almost like a soul contract
Uh-huh.
that whoever they
Yeah.
are, trigger you
Mhm.
at points in your life, whether it's near death or whatever it is that happens to you,
Yeah.
where people come in and they turn you on your path, or you realise what your true destiny thing
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we thought that that's maybe what it was,
Mm.
because not everybody has it, do they? Not everybody's
No.
having this near death.
No, they don't.
And
Yeah.
when we were talking, it was like, could it be our souls? We're all different ages of soul. This life is just a tiny little gap,
Yeah.
and we're doing infinite amounts of them. You know,
Yeah.
this isn't the long bit.
Mhm.
This is maybe just like a lunch break in your lifetime. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
So, and that's the agreement. We come in, we'll trigger you at that point. We'll show you your life review. It'll click in everything what you and you move on. A lot of people might come out and scratch and read what is my purpose in life,
Yeah.
but also have come out with a different view of life, isn't it?
Yes.
Got
yeah.
lost somewhere down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's interesting you say about, not everyone has a near-death experience. Is it that people do have everyone has one, but not everyone recalls it? Because the reason I ask that is because I've had a couple of experiences where people have been unconscious in a near-death situation, and they've revived and not remembered anything at all, but in the future they go back and they realise that they have a memory then of a near-death experience. So one example is one lady who wrote to me, and she'd been attacked in her home, and it was an attempted murder, so she'd been left for dead. And she remembers being knocked out. She was punched and she went backwards, hit her head on the kitchen floor, everything went black. She woke up in the hospital, and it was about 6 months later she then had to go and have surgery. And as she went under anaesthetic, she was back in that scenario, and this time when she was punched, it didn't go black. She had a full-on near-death experience. So it was there, but it was recalled 6 months later.